It's Red Eye Radio. Gary McNamara and Eric Harley talk about everything from politics to social issues and news of the day. Whether you're up late or you're just starting your day, welcome to the show. From the Uniden America Studios, this is Red Eye Radio.
Hello and welcome. He is Gary McNamara. I'm Eric Harley as we begin a Wednesday. Gary, let's start a new game show. Wall or no wall?
I don't even know where I want to start today. There's so much crap out there. I mean, it's just like, wow.
Yeah.
Oh, man, oh, man, oh, man, I'm telling you. It's just what a day it was. I will tell you that when I saw the Axios story, and that was right when I woke up.
Right.
Because someone wrote me because I commented on it early. Someone said, "Don't you sleep?" It's like, I just woke up. First thing I saw when I woke up, but I read the Axios column, and nowhere in it,
And why it matters.
and why it matters. No, right.
Yes,
let me tell you about the Axios story and why it matters.
Why it matters.
In case you never read Axios, they always put that in every story.
Yeah.
Here's the story: why it matters.
I think they put that in their digital ads too.
Have they done a story, inflation and why it matters? I don't know. Maybe they have, but I didn't notice it.
Yeah, I didn't see it.
I didn't see that because I would like to see that one. But I burst out laughing when I saw it because what it does is it goes back to the old Democrats' proposed bill.
Yeah.
You know, the one that would loosen everything on the border and allow thousands of people into the country, which is why we were against it.
Right.
Because what they wish to do is bypass the already legal immigration system in this country. And we said, no, we're not going to agree to something when you permanently make the border open.
Mm-hmm.
We're not going to do that. And so I'm like, okay, where did she say this? And it simply says, since the Democrats had that bill and she supported the bill, that she supports the wall. And I thought to myself, we've been talking about this over and over again. The media is desperate for her to give them talking points. And since she's not, they decided to give her the talking points.
Well, this is inevitably what's going to happen when you decide that there really are no talking points. The liberal media working really hard to carry your water is going to make their own talking points for you. That's the way it was always going to be. In fact, I hear that the CNN interview is going to be mostly the interviewer making statements.
Well, I mean, that was okay. You Scott Jennings writes us, weak sauce for Kamala Harris to demand an emotional support animal for her first interview. Shows
that is so brilliant.
Shows an extreme lack of confidence for Thursday night event on CNN. Now, this is exactly what we told you would be.
Yeah. We knew it was going this way. Yeah,
we said it's going to be. Remember, Dana Bash, who's going to be doing the interview, is the one just a couple of days ago that said Republicans cannot handle the new type of masculinity that Tim Walz brings to the ticket.
Right.
And it's like, what?
Yeah.
They really live in their own delusional world, don't they?
Well, again, making it up because the Harris Walz campaign will not talk to the media. Now they're going to sit down. She brought a wingman, but I like that line better. Emotional support animal.
Right. Well, first off, let's play the audio cut, all right? I don't want to forget to play the audio cut. Then we'll delve further into this. Here we go. Here, okay.
Is the line now going to be, well, why isn't she doing it by herself?
Yeah, I do think people are going to bring that up. Like, I have great confidence in Dana and CNN to do this. I think it's incredibly weak sauce to show up with your running mate. The fact that they don't have enough confidence in her to let her sit herself, the actual top of the ticket, and do a single interview. In fact, I think the hand-wringing and the gyrations over this over the last month show a troubling lack of confidence in her political ability, which also makes you wonder as a voter, well, what kind of president would you be if this kind of a small-time decision, can we do an interview or not, What does that look like for your decision-making process, so on? So, yes, I think Republicans are going to think it's pretty weak to show up with effectively someone to take up half the time.
Yeah.
I don't believe he had to say that, but he did say, I think that she'll do a great job. He works for CNN, and so does Dana Bash.
Right.
She's not going to do a good job.
No. If you're a liberal, you'll think it's a good job. But and as you mentioned, it's kind of obligatory because he works there, and he's not.
Well, no,
a liberal,
it's not
but
obligatory. He didn't have to say that.
Well, I guess
by the
he
way,
feels it's obligatory.
Right. I like Scott Jennings,
Mm-hmm.
and I think he does a good job.
Yeah.
But don't BS.
Yeah.
I agree with this is a point we make all the time on the show.
Mm-hmm.
I can agree with you 95% of the time and then call your BS 5% of the time, and that's pure BS. I love Scott Jennings and what he does. We play him as one of our most frequent audio cuts, but that was pure BS.
Well, and let me rephrase that. He felt it was obligatory.
Yes.
He felt he was obligated to say that.
Yes.
Because otherwise, if you watch Scott Jennings, he doesn't feel obligated to say anything he doesn't want to say, and that clearly was out of the I like my paycheck playbook. And it's look, we're not going to sit here all night and Dana bash.
All right, I like that.
You see where I was going?
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
That's
All
good.
right.
That was better than your other one.
Yeah. What?
About when you heard about the Axios story that Kamala is pro-wall.
Oh no, yeah, I thought that's where. I was floating this workshop in this in the pre-show.
With me.
Yeah, it's with you. You're the one. It's like, see if I can get this one to work. Yeah, I always thought she was pro-border security because she picked a running mate named Walz. Yeah, that one just kind of dies right there at the end, doesn't it? But
no, we didn't. We don't have an applause sign. If we had the applause sign, we would have got wild applause.
Well, after what Jon Stewart got on Monday night, the Daily Show, it's kind of hard to match that kind of over-the-top crowd reaction to him just going off basically on the Democratic National Convention last week. That was great. If you missed that, we played that and kind of took that apart and broke it down. And the podcast is available. You can go back and listen to it. But here's, the thing. It was. I don't know if I said it on the air. I may have. I kind of felt like it was going to end up being Dana Bash because of her exchange with a couple of Republicans here lately. That, all right, it's got to be Dana Bash. But then I kind of questioned that and thought, yeah, but it's CNN. They don't have the largest audience, being the point. And I thought, all right, maybe that's also part of the play, right? Don't go for the largest audience because they're not. I mean, if you wanted to go for the largest audience, you'd go on a liberal network, you go MSNBC, right? So maybe the point is, all right, if we do, and it's a smaller audience. Now, reality is that it's going to be shredded by conservatives.
Actually,
so it's going to be taken apart over and over and over again.
If she wanted a larger audience, she would go on Rogan.
Well, yeah. I mean, ultimately a larger audience. But, I mean, if you're going to stay in a liberal network,
Yes.
friendly audience,
right? But
friendly interviewer
right? But it will bring
approach.
It will bring a tremendous number of people. Will probably go. I guess just out of curiosity, will turn into CNN. So,
well, and the residuals
come on,
also.
Come on, Dana Bash. There's no difference between Dana Bash and MSNBC.
Oh no!
And they can sit there and say, well, we're going on CNN. We're not going on MSNBC.
Yeah.
And so we're going on what we view as a middle of the road network. And now again, unless you have Jon Stewart's audience in there to respond to it, that is not much easier, but a little bit easier of an argument to make than if it was on MSNBC. Not much though.
Right. But just slightly. Yeah.
But she herself is as leftist as a political activist as you can get.
Yeah.
I mean, the whole thing of what, it when they start fighting the minutia of, well, but she wasn't borders are. She wasn't borders are.
Yeah,
she wasn't
right.
borders are. She
Right.
wasn't borders are.
Yeah. Yeah. They really get emotional And which is proof that they are emotionally invested in this, and it's because they're activists. They're not journalists at all. But and then on the bigger point, the residuals from this will get tons of exposure. I'm not sure it's the exposure that the Harris-Walz campaign wants, because the interview will be shredded by conservatives all over social media.
Well,
we'll
what
see where it goes.
we're saying during the break, if she doesn't ask the question of, do you
want a wall?
Do you want a wall?
Right. Are you pro fracking?
Are you pro fracking?
Right.
And are you pro EV mandate, and why?
Right.
Excuse me, anti EV mandate.
Right.
Because that one came out that now she's against the electric vehicle mandate.
Right.
And by the way, isn't it interesting that there's no blowback at all by the left on any of these positions that the campaign is claiming that she has?
Right.
She hasn't said it herself.
Plausible deniability,
we said that from day one.
Right.
She hasn't said all these things herself. Will she be forced to say them, or will it be fluff? I would not be surprised if none of those were brought up, or if they are brought up, she won't answer it, and Walz won't answer it, and Dana Bash will not follow up.
Yeah, or there's also the approach of presenting it in a way that it's almost like the opposite of a loaded question. It's the unloaded question. Like, everyone's lying about you wanting a wall, right? You know what I mean? Where it's you tailor it down to make where the question itself makes a statement. I don't know. I don't have confidence Dana Bash is going to get into those things because of where it goes after that. I think it's, we wanted to learn more about the people behind the campaign.
Yes.
Who's Tim? Who's Kamala? Hey, Tim, let's go into the kitchen. And then basically it's a video of those two eating Doritos together or something stupid, and then, it's one of his former students for no reason at all will show up at his door, hey, coach.
Well, what I find fascinating is, and I've said this over and over again, and I do believe it is fascinating, that she's attempting to follow Biden's behavior over and over. This is something that Biden would have done. The criticism would have been there over and over again. No interviews, no interviews, no interviews, no interviews.
Right.
Then he goes and does a fluff interview where no tough questions,
right,
follow-ups, or
right,
cross-examination actually takes place.
Right.
And it's obvious that it's not what the people want from her, but they throw it out and they can say, well, she's done an interview. She's done an interview. She's done an interview.
Right.
Now, the public didn't buy it from Biden.
No.
Why will they? The question would be, why would they buy it from Harris? Because there's so much criticism already for the format on it, for Walz being there with her, that she can't stand alone, that she needs a man in order to explain things. Walz is there to mansplain for Harris.
Yeah.
And now, see, I didn't workshop that one, but you liked it.
No, it's perfect.
Walz is there to mansplain because she doesn't have the ability to do it.
Well, I see him jumping in front of, literally diving in front of a question as it's being asked in slow motion. No, where he's trying to save her from the question. When I saw that, when the story came across, I just thought to myself, he's going to be what a viewer would see as a distraction, but for her, it will be a diversion. And otherwise, why do you have him there?
I can see. Let's see if this happens. Dana Bash asks a question, and they don't like the question, that it's actually a tough question.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say she asks, and I can see him as she's waiting to answer, shaking his head back and forth.
In
disapproval.
Exactly. Where he's, he starts waving his hands or doing something, he's going to be the wingman. So he's basically going to be jumping in front of any serious question and breaking up the moment. It's the only thing they've got.
I think that, the story yesterday, the one from Politico about how insane it is inside the campaign about one interview.
Yeah.
And Bill Maher said last week, if she can't do interviews like this, do you really want her in charge of the nuclear codes?
Right.
If this is such a big decision, just to do one interview with a radical political activist who is so incredibly not biased, but practices activism, because this isn't bias that she has. It's political activism that Dana Bash throws out.
Right.
Leftist political activism, and it takes you 40 days.
Yeah.
It's got to be pre-taped. You need your emotional support mansplainer. They're, with you.
Yeah.
And from what Politico was writing, this thing was it was crazy inside the campaign.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, and I saw that, and it's just, and that's insane. And everyone in the media knows it.
They do. Yeah. 866-90-RED-EYE.
This report is brought to you by Shell Rotella. With advanced synthetic technology, is designed to help keep your rig running with more mileage and less maintenance. Keep your engine humming in the heat this summer by keeping up with preventive maintenance. Think your PM is complete after your oil is changed? Think again. There's grease, transmission fluids, and gear oil to consider too. Clean gear oil, for example, extends gear, bearing, and seal life. It also protects against low-speed, high-torque wear and high-speed scoring. That means not only longer equipment life and reduced maintenance costs, but also improved fuel economy and lower operating costs. So the next time you plan for your oil change purchase, don't neglect lubrication and inspection, especially on components and parts that work hard to keep your vehicle running safe and smooth.
Coming up, more with Gary McNamara and Eric Harley. It's Red Eye Radio.
It's Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. The interesting thing was yesterday, you had Harris campaign advisors and people, the media surrogates out there for Biden yesterday saying, and it really, the funny thing is, it just hit, I think, a peak yesterday of the number of, I saw it on CNN, even think I saw it on I think it was Leslie Marshall, I don't know if she was on Fox or whatever. By the way, Leslie Marshall is an old friend of mine, the liberal on long time ago. I knew her way back in Buffalo. They were both saying, everybody's saying the exact same thing before she agreed to do, the interview with her mansplainer.
Yeah.
They were all saying, it really doesn't matter. This only matters to the press. The people don't care.
Yeah.
And they're doing that. It's really every single shift. I mean, there's nothing. You don't hear the Democratic Party saying we're about transparency anymore. You don't hear that. You don't hear.
They're not using that word at all.
No. So I found that really interesting yesterday. That and I'll have some audio coming up following the bottom of the hour. One of the campaign advisor claims only the press and insiders care about her not doing interviews. Wow.
Powered by windmills and solar panels. Red Eye. Radio.
It's Red Eye Radio. I'm Gary McNamara. He's Eric Harley. Welcome and good morning. Thanks so much for being here this morning. Download our Red Eye Radio app, and you can listen when and where you choose. All right, so I did see, what part of it was insane yesterday when you had Politico and others talking about it, because it was all over social media, that there's just chaos going on inside the Harris campaign over one interview. Mm-hmm. And what came out of it almost was universal condemnation that if this is going on, my God, how will she be able to make any decision as president? If you're talking, I think today's 39 days. So Thursday will be 40 days since she took it and is only doing one interview, not by herself, and with the utmost political partisan who makes absurd claims to defend the liberals in Dana Bash.
Right.
But the fact that it took that long, because you and I had said a couple of weeks in, all you do is pick the most friendliest person possible.
Yeah.
Get it recorded.
Right.
So you get it recorded. Demand that you know what the questions are that are going to be asked. That and bring your emotional support mansplainer in there with you. And therefore, the other thing was, this one was that the reason they don't have Walz out there is because they're afraid he'll say something that will contradict what the campaign, says she's about, and he doesn't know it. They don't want the right hand to not know what the left hand is doing, and it's so chaotic right now. For example, like I said, the Axios piece was not her saying it. So if he's out there and they say, Axios says she's flip-flopped, well, he doesn't know. He doesn't know where she stands.
And let me tell you why it matters. It is the plausible deniability of floating things out there, just like, again, they are in exploratory committee mode of a campaign, something you do 2 years out before, and you've already got your Veep out there. So imagine him out there on the stump. No more fracking. We'll end fracking. And her campaign's floating you know what? We're pro-fracking now. We're going to tear down the walls and no more walls. I'm Tim Walz. I'm the only Walz. No more walls. We're actually pro-walls now. You can't have that. And so you keep them on a leash. You keep your emotional support animal close to you. You don't let them out.
There's, as we said, it's only a legitimate interview if you ask these questions, because these are really the big questions. Donald Trump has always been pro-wall. You have said and go through all of the audio cuts about how insane Donald Trump was for supporting the wall.
Right.
Do you now agree with Donald Trump? And were you wrong all the time when he was promoting the fact that we need a wall, now that your campaign says you are pro-wall, or Axios has said you're pro-wall? And she needs to answer the question. Well, I need to know, was Donald Trump right about the wall? And then if she go, well, we didn't like his separation of, that's not the question I asked. Are you now agreeing that Trump was right on the wall? That's what you have to do, because that's the question.
If you were going to do a legit interview, yeah.
Well, because you want that direct question. If she's pro-wall, she's got to say she's pro-wall. Well, you're not telling me you're pro-wall. Why can't you do that? Why can't you do what Axios said you are? If you supported that bill, then you are pro-wall. Are you only part wall? Are you semi-wall? Were you saying, no, I support walls and not a wall? Exactly what it is. And on pro-fracking, you've always been. And then you bring up what she has said. You do I almost said Tim Allen. You do the old meet the press.
Tim Russert.
You do the old Tim Russert meet the press. Here's the audio. Here's where you stood. Here's what you said about Trump and being pro-fracking.
Right.
Are you pro-fracking now, and was Trump right all along? That's the question that you would ask. On Israel, you need to ask the Israel question. I guarantee, okay, I don't want to guarantee because I don't want to give anything away. I will say with 99.9% confidence, and if I'm wrong, I'd be happy. That's the thing. If I'm wrong on something, I'm usually happy that I'm wrong. But if Dana Bash has to come out and say, do you support Israel? Do you support Israel and their right to defend themselves and to defeat Hamas completely, right?
Yep. Because if you're going to support Israel and you're okay with sending money in support of Israel, what are they going to use the money for? It's going to be, it's not humanitarian efforts.
Yep.
It's to annihilate the enemy. And do you support that?
And do you reject because Trump would be asked this question, do you reject the anti-Semitic part of your party?
Right.
Will those questions be asked?
Doubt it.
On EV mandates, here's what you've said in the past about Republicans and what you've said about Trump on EV mandates. Do you now say that the Republicans and Trump all along have been right about no EV mandates since your campaign now says you are pro-EV mandates? Is anything wrong with asking the question? Am I being biased in any way? And the reason that I bring up, because I know the first thing somebody on the left would say, well, you're bringing Trump into it. Well, yeah.
Well,
because
that's where they start with everything.
Right. Because, well, no. I mean, the Democrats would say, not Republicans, the Democrats would say that you're bringing Trump into it. And you shouldn't bring Trump into it. But the point is you bring Trump into it because these are his long-standing positions that got him elected in 2016.
And that's where the media starts with everything. They
Right.
bring Trump into everything. I mean, if you think about it.
Only if it's to their advantage. That would not be to their advantage to bring up
what she agrees with Trump on.
What she agrees on Trump on, right, is not to their advantage to actually bring
Unless they're
in.
going after her for being Kamaga.
Yeah, well, yes. By the way, I just posted it on X. Kamaga is back. We'll see how long it lasts.
Get your T-shirts now.
Kamaga has returned.
Well, because, okay, but doesn't this have the potential of that kind of burn?
No.
Axios.
No, and the reason I say it might. But
I mean, I don't think it's going to come from Dana Bash.
Not with the media, because as you can see, has anybody have you heard one Democrat come out and say, my God, if she's for the wall, there's just no way.
She's going to build a wall and make Tim Walz pay for it.
Yes. Walz has to build it. I hired a Walz expert.
Yeah.
But I haven't heard one Democrat, not one, come out and say that they're upset that she's pro-fracking. I haven't heard one Democrat come out and say they're upset that she's pro-wall. I haven't heard one Democrat come out and say they're upset that she's against EV mandates. Not one. There may be one. I haven't heard it. It has not made the news anywhere. So it's not a major Democrat that has come out and said, look, these policies are insane. She's becoming Kamaga. And she, why is she embracing what Trump brought? Now, I also think it's important for Trump not to say that she now holds the positions I do. What you should be saying is she's lying and pretending she holds the same positions as I do. That's
Which is basically what you heard from them yesterday, using different words, saying this is total BS on the border wall thing.
Yeah.
It's...
But Republicans have said that. Democrats, you don't hear a word.
No.
Why? Why aren't Democrats upset about her Kamaga positions? Why aren't Democrats upset? That's the question. I have the answer. they know she's lying, and they're okay with it. Right? Every
Well,
Democrat
the next thing. Well, honestly, the next thing is Kamala just wants to make America great again. I mean, how long before we get to that point where she just takes the entire platform of the campaign and the red caps and goes full on? Tim Walz is wearing a red tie with a blue suit jacket.
I did see Shanahan yesterday, and it was like make America healthy again. Maha.
The Maha, yeah. That's what took off after that was trending Friday after the JFK.
Oh yeah, I know, because
thing.
we had talked about it.
Yeah. And that kind of took off. I mean, JFK was the one that kind of floated that at the end of his speech on Friday. So I think he was. I think that was on purpose. What's interesting is that it's out there for everybody to see. All these things. It's the liberal media that's promoting it. Now, these aren't just 180s. She's co-opting the Trump campaign. The signature moves of the Trump campaign. And if you don't address it, because the one for me would be not just the wall, that would be up there now because, what happened, everything that went down yesterday, but the fracking.
Yeah.
Because the environmentalists, losing their ever-loving mind. Look.
I haven't heard a Democrat in Congress who claims to be an environmentalist who has been upset about the whole pro-fracking.
No,
she never
only,
said.
The only extremists on the left that have protested her are the pro-Hamas extremists.
Yeah.
They're the only ones.
Yep.
I don't know where the environmentalists are, why they haven't shown up. But they didn't, and they haven't so far. So I have to believe they're not going to.
Well, it's easy because they know she's lying.
Mm-hmm.
Right, Democrats? You know it. Every Democrat listening right now knows that Harris is not pro-wall.
Mm-hmm.
Look, they came up with that bill that would allow thousands of people across the border a day and then say, we'll spend hundreds of millions of dollars on a wall, by the way, which isn't close to what it would probably cost with inflation now. Probably Trump's $25 billion wall would cost $50 billion.
I was going to go closer to 75, but yeah.
Yeah, well, with government overruns, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
And, well, when you have to implement DEI to build the wall,
it'll never get done, man. It'll never get done. It won't be one shovel that hits any piece of dirt. It won't happen.
We're going to do... I'm Kamala Harris, and we're going to build the wall as quickly as we got you internet.
That's right.
We got you broadband. No, you didn't.
Yeah.
No, you got.
It's on the way.
Yeah, DEI and all that crap and climate change stuff is stopping everything from moving. But every Democrat listening right now knows that Kamala Harris and the campaign is lying. Every Democrat knows.
Yeah.
Every Democrat listening right now knows she is not pro-wall. Every Democrat listening right now knows she is not pro-fracking.
Right.
Every Democrat knows that she would take the anti-Semitic position because, that if there was no political consequence for it, she would be completely anti-Semitic.
Right. Yep.
The only reason she's not is because of political consequences. Every Democrat listening right now knows she is not against electric vehicle mandates. Every
She's
Democrat
trying to
knows
sell
that.
all of this to the middle, to the independent.
Right, but every Democrat knows, every Democrat, you know her record, you know she's lying about everything. You're okay with it, though.
And if you're an independent and you believe it, you're a fool.
866-90-RED-I.
Lines open for your calls. 866-90-RED-I on Red Eye Radio.
It's Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. More on the interview and also what this means, and also with the Jack Smith the situation of him re-indicting Trump. By the way, that's not going to happen before the election, just so people know.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, that's not going to take off before the election.
But how it might affect the debate and what Trump has to do in the debate. Now that he said they got exactly what they wanted, so apparently the Harris campaign knew that that wasn't flying with the public.
Right.
Top of the hour news is brought to you by House Products. Visit houseproducts.com.
This is Red Eye Radio on Westwood One. Now, it's Red Eye Radio. Gary McNamara and Eric Harley talk about everything from politics to social issues and news of the day. Whether you're up late or you're just starting your day, welcome to the show. From the Uniden America Studios, this is Red Eye Radio.
All across America and around the planet, we are Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Welcome and good morning. Thanks for being here this morning. You know, really interesting article. This from the Washington Free Beacon. What should volunteers for Vice President Kamala Harris's campaign tell voters about her policy positions? It's hard to say. Over the course of the DNC, Harris's staff held several messaging sessions for supporters of her presidential run. Their attendees were given a crash course on how to convince their friends and family to vote for Harris this November. Man, I'd like to be in that discussion, have a family member come up to me and say, I think you should vote for Harris. Okay, give me a reason why. You know, the volunteers basically have talking points, but they're clueless. I would love a volunteer to knock on my door.
Oh, man.
Wouldn't that be fun?
Oh, yeah. No.
Be
I was thinking about that. I thought to myself, yesterday I was having a conversation with someone close to me and just talking about things in general about, you know, because inevitably you run into someone and you haven't talked to them in a while. Hey, so, you know, how do you think it's going to go down, right? And you get into the conversation. And as I was talking about, you know, the back and forth and what's going on right now and the news that was breaking about the interview, and I was thinking to myself, I would love to talk to the boots on the ground surrogates, the volunteers, the people manning the phones. Do they have their phones set up yet? I don't even. I'm guessing they do. The ones that are out there stumping for them. I'd love to question them. Ask them, I don't know, 3-4 questions each. Not even a lengthy interview. But we saw it. We played the audio. Was it last week? They have no idea why they're there. They have no idea what she stands for. Now, the good news is we're going to learn it all from the interview with Dana Hatch on Thursday night.
The Washington Free Beacon says of the people that, you know, were part of the course who listened, this is what you need to do as a volunteer to go back and convince people to vote for us.
Yeah.
He says, but the Washington Free Beacon was there and said several of them left the sessions a bit befuddled. There was no clear policy outline for campaign volunteers to bring home, nor would any staff members commit to a position on a variety of contentious issues.
Yeah.
The meetings provide a glimpse of how Harris's staff seek to position their candidate for November, although the risks were glaring. They don't know what to do. With newly energized Democratic voters excited to spread the good word about her campaign, many were not sure how they should counter Trump on a number of issues that she now agrees with.
Yeah, right.
But, you know, they're in right now. The Harris campaign is mostly on these policy positions, just lying. They haven't got to the gaslighting yet. The gaslighting will be What are you talking about? She's always been pro-war. Well, pro-war, pro-wall. She's always been pro-wall. What are you talking about? She picked a Walz for her running mate. I mean, so that you might even hear that, and then they'll laugh it off. But it's like, but expect that to happen. She's always been against the EV mandate. So she has been against the major tenets of the Biden administration that when she ran for president, she'd agreed with completely. Why the flip-flop 180 degrees? Have you found out or come to the realization that Trump's policies actually are the best policies?
Yeah, right.
They won't ask that question, but that's how you'd have to ask it.
No, they're not going to. But I think it's clear as this comes together just days after two former Democrats joined forces with Donald Trump. It's proof that, again, Donald Trump is the great uniter.
Yes, exactly. That's the whole Kamala thing. Kamala's back. We don't know how for long.
Yeah.
But this is more evidence that Trump is uniting the nation. But I did see some good suggestions, and one of the suggestions for the debate, or for the debate and just in general, don't say she now holds my positions. Say she's lying about holding my positions. She doesn't hold my positions. Stay away from that, because you remember, one of the things that didn't surprise us, but I'm sure some listeners did, were probably, really, is that when you had Don Lemon on CNN the other day, and he was being asked about talking to people in Philadelphia and Pennsylvania and the Jersey Shore.
Yeah.
And the vast majority of them that talked about, Trump wanted to vote for him because things would be better, economically speaking. And Harris, they really didn't know a lot about. And this reminds me of the firefighter back in 2008, after the 2008 convention, a guy I used to do my hockey workouts with.
Right after your figure skating workout?
They were hockey workouts. Right. I had hockey skates on.
Totally separate from your figure skating workout.
Not figure skates. I have never figure skated.
That's why you were working out. You were trying to.
No, I was doing a hockey workout.
At that time, you were.
Even though, remember the time I came in? And I was like, Eric, I have to tell you something. You know what? I was doing my hockey workout, and
there was a lady there that was figure skating, right?
One of the figure skaters there came.
And she grabbed you by the hand and magically no,
she came to give me. What was that movie? Remember when the hockey player becomes the figure skater?
Oh no, we loved that movie. What was it?
I can't think of the name.
Because one of the catchphrase from the movie was toe pick. No, we watched that movie. I don't know how many times.
I'll never forget when I had to come in and admit to you. I took some pointers for my skating from a figure skater, and then that's what started the entire thing, that I'm not doing a hockey workout, that I'm into figure skating, which and as I told you, no, that would be too hard.
The cutting edge.
The cutting edge, yes.
Yeah.
And who was the actor? The guy actor in it was in Fire in the Sky, wasn't he?
Yeah. He was.
I can't think of his name, but
D.B. Sweeney.
Yeah, D.B. Sweeney.
Yeah. No, we love that movie.
I can't stand that movie.
Yeah.
But
is it because of failed hockey players? I mean, you are a Sabres fan. No.
I'm a failed male athlete. And you'll know, by the way, that's a reference to the coming up here in a little bit. We'll have our radical transgender activist movement to show you the misogyny inside that movement, as a man is very close to getting his ticket to play in the LPGA, and he went after failed female athletes, that they shouldn't be blaming, they shouldn't be blaming him for their failure as athletes.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah.
I mean, as we said, thank you. They prove our case all the time.
Oh,
but to get back to what you're talking about, the whole skating thing came from the firefighter that I met who really didn't pay attention much to politics. And he came to me, and this had to be maybe middle of September of 2008, and said to me, he said, well, I've been listening to Obama. You know, he's really quite conservative. I was like, oh, jeez. I said, so you haven't apparently paid attention until the last couple of weeks. He said, oh, yeah, I started paying attention the last week or so.
Yeah.
It's like, okay. He didn't take what I said as an insult. I said, will you just start recently paying attention? He said, yeah, just in the last week.
Yeah.
And so it's like, oh, okay. And so they're attempting to do that. But the thing is, they're not to the point of gaslighting yet because they haven't said, what are you talking about? When they start doing that, what are you talking about? Why are you lying? She's always been pro-fracking. Why are you lying? She's always been pro-border wall. You know, why are you lying? She's always been 100% behind Israel.
Yeah.
You know, and that's when they'll be gaslighting. Right now, it's just lies. But the thing is, everyone knows she's lying. When the campaign put out yesterday that she is, anti-EV mandate, they know they're lying. She knows they're lying. Democrats know that they're lying. Republicans know they're lying. Independents know they're lying. They know that everybody knows that they're lying. But they still throw out the lie.
Yeah.
And unless there's any Democrats out there that wish to defend her being pro-wall, EV mandate, or excuse me, anti-EV mandate, 100% pro-Israel. What else do we have here? I forgot the other one that came up.
Or
fracking.
Doing away with taxes for tips.
Oh, yeah, taxes for tips.
Which isn't like a massive...
Well, pro-fracking. Pro-fracking.
Yeah,
that's just pro-fracking.
Yeah.
I mean, it's every, and that's why I say everybody knows, everybody's in on the joke.
Yeah.
Everybody in the nation is in on the joke. Everybody knows she's lying. But Democrats are okay that she's lying. Democrats are okay that a cabal of elites picked their nominee. They're okay with it. Because it's only about power.
The Kamala cabal.
Yes. It's only about power. It's about power to eventually have the government control the means of production. It is. That's all it's about.
Yeah, sure.
And however we get there, you and I go back to the late Ed Schultz, who was on MSNBC, started out as a radio host, who actually said, whatever we need to do to win, lie, cheat, whatever, it's okay. Because they're that bad, we can do anything to promote what we believe. And the reason that she's lying, and every Democrat knows this, every Democrat knows that she's lying, every independent knows she's lying, that they may still vote for her. Every Republican knows that she's lying about everything, because if she tells the public what she truly believes, she will not win the election.
Right.
This is the ultimate, we've talked about BS. We've talked about my dad telling me back in 1969, by the way, he's still alive today at 98 years old, doing fine. He was great this past weekend. Good. That, Gary, you're going to come to understand that people want to be BS'd. They want to be. And I was like, no, Dad, they don't. No, come on, Dad. I'm the idealist there at 14 years of age.
Right.
No, Dad, no, they don't. Yeah, they want to be BS'd. Well, we see it now. We see it big time.
Yeah.
They really wish to be BS'd. I saw an article the other day. I didn't even read it yet. I just saw the headline. What does the American public actually want? What do they want?
Well, it's interesting is that I think now more than ever they want to be BS'd. And, when I was asked yesterday by someone, do you think she'll win? If enough people want to be BS'd, yeah. If enough people are willing to buy into whatever this is, we've never seen anything like this.
No.
This entire thing is a facade. She finally agrees to a TV interview 40 days in by the time they get to the interview, and she's got to bring backup. What does that tell you?
She needs a mansplainer.
There you go.
She
Old white guy needs to step in.
She needs an emotional support, old white guy mansplainer.
Exactly.
Boy, this is just going to keep growing and growing, isn't it?
It really is.
She isn't capable. Because, liberal, I'm just using the whole mansplainer thing because that drives him crazy.
Yeah, right.
I am attempting only to trigger.
Yeah, that's all we want to do.
Yes.
That's all we really care to do.
Her emotional support, old white guy mansplainer, because she doesn't believe she has the ability to stand on her own. Every Democrat knows that. Every Republican knows that's the truth. Every Republican knows that's the truth. Everybody in the media knows that's the truth.
Yep. It's their okay. So the interview Thursday, Jon Stewart's back on Monday. I wonder if he'll tear it apart. I guess it depends on how it goes. Certainly, he's got to do something on it because it's the first thing that she's done in this way. Certainly, there will be something. I'm interested to see what it will be. It really is. Everybody sees it. Everybody knows it. How much are you going to buy into the lie? How much do you want the Matrix to be true? Joey Pants, I know it's not a stake in the Matrix.
Well, I give credit to Mike who called us last week.
Mm-hmm.
Or this week.
Right.
Mike who called us this week, who's a Democrat delegate in Texas. At least he was intellectually honest. Now, he can't vote for Harris now.
Right.
Because they broke all the Democrat rules to anoint her and said to hell with 14 million votes. It bothered him, and he admitted it bothered him.
Right.
He's really the only Democrat that I've talked to in years that is willing to be intellectually honest about what's going on.
Right.
866-90-RED-EYE.
Brought to you by FPPF, Fuel Power Max.
Owner-operators with authority generally have two options when it comes to sourcing freight. Brokers on the spot market or directly from the source, the shipper. As any trucker with relatively recent experience with spot freight knows, the highs of working the load boards can be really high. On the other side of that coin, however, when the market flips in favor of shippers, it can be tough to keep your business afloat working with brokers. The smallest carriers with direct customers, however, can hang on through tough times or even prosper, as long as demand for their customers' product remains at least somewhat stable. Owner-operators in it for the long haul make direct business with customers a principal goal. Owner-Operator Business 101 is provided by Overdrive's Partners in Business program. Go to overdriveonline.com to the Partners in Business section of the website for more detail on this and many other topics.
Brought to you by Shell Rotella. With advanced synthetic technology is designed to help keep your rig running with more mileage and less maintenance.
Get in touch with Red Eye Radio, toll free at 866-90-RED-EYE.
It's Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. So what does Trump have to do in the debate now that he says they've agreed to the same rules that were the rules of the debate a few weeks ago?
Right.
So nothing has changed, and so what should he do? Because I was watching CNN today, and they're saying, well, she's a prosecutor. What she needs to do is prosecute the case against Trump for everything that he's guilty of. And the other point would be, yeah, but people have already digested that. She has to tell the American public what she would actually do as president, not just attack him. But how does he do it? It means Donald Trump's going to have to learn to deflect. Donald Trump has never learned in an interview to this point how to deflect. Will he do it with the guidance of Tulsi Gabbard? Because if he does, he can destroy her. If he doesn't, then he falls into the same trap as he did a month ago with the identity politics disaster.
You're listening to Red Eye Radio from the Uniden America Studios.
It's Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Welcome and good morning. Thanks so much for being here. Download our Red Eye Radio app today and listen when and where you choose. So in this debate, I think it's quite simple for Trump. The microphone's going to be off. So she's going to hit, the January 6th thing and everything else. How long she can stay in that, whether those will be the questions that Dana Bash, excuse me, not Dana Bash. Sorry, I'm thinking of Thursday. But whatever the questions that are asked to her, she'll probably deflect to January 6th. Mm-hmm. Because can she directly answer? Is she willing to separate herself completely from the Biden administration? That would be it. The people already out there know. They're already questioning, wait a minute, she's sounding like Trump, but she's not. She's with this administration. What's going on? Trump has to learn how to deflect, and he's got to learn it quickly. He's done since the identity politics disaster that he got into at the liberal black journalist meeting. He's been extremely disciplined. I don't believe he had a great debate against Biden. He didn't need to have a great debate against Biden. Biden was so bad that Trump just had to look and go, it was okay. But in this debate, this is it. It's on ABC. Expect the questions to be as biased as possible, and he has to, in his minute, deflect everything completely. January 6th, if it comes up, I told people to protest peacefully. End of story. She's bringing up something that happened years ago that I wasn't involved with, and being unfairly prosecuted or being unfairly treated by the Biden administration as part of election interference. And by the way, what's happening is by Department of Justice standards with Jack Smith re-indicting him again with same charges, a lot less evidence, wants to keep it. He wants to keep that in the news, and I think specifically to be used in the debate. But he's already violated the 60-day rule, because the 60-day rule was meant for when we only had one election day. Now the election starts in some states on September 6th. Mm-hmm. And so you simply say, I'm being treated unfairly. It's election interference by the Biden administration again. But I want to get back to the issues that America cares about, and that's inflation, and that's this, and it's this. And she's lying when she's trying to co-opt my positions, and everybody knows it. We all know she's lying. You know she's lying. You know she's not pro-border wall. You know, and he needs to say that.
Well, and that's it. You can't count on the moderators to do that positioning for you. You're going to have to do that. You have to position her. It's what we said. My gosh, we go back to 2016 on this one. And the advice is you throw that at her on those, these are facts. Accuse her of lying about it. And then have, the rest of the liberal media fact-checking it and everybody else basically fact-checking it along the way. The truth will come out and it works in your favor.
Right. We know because, no, she's honestly changed her position is what they'll come out and try to say.
Yeah.
And it's like, everybody knows that's a lie. Mm-hmm. That's the problem. The problem that she has is she really cannot separate herself from this administration. There was the, what was it? You saw the Politico tweet. Our corrupt leadership. Vance tries to tether Harris to Biden during Michigan rally. Politico wrote that.
Right.
Readers added context. The headline states J.D. Vance tries to tether Harris to Biden. Harris is currently President Biden's vice president. And then in the White House Gov, where you can find that out, that she's the vice president, and then they have, do you find this helpful?
I love it.
But that's the problem is if Trump says that, people are going to be shaking their heads going, yeah, she is lying. She's not pro-border.
Well,
she's
right,
as radical.
Exactly.
She's and you could say she's as radical as a liberal that has a long history of being against border security. And for God's sakes, she's against the border wall. How many times has she said it? She's not pro-EV mandate. Are you kidding me? She's lying to your face that she's pro-fracking. You don't have to get into the minutia. All you need to do is hit all those, the pro-fracking, the EV mandates. You don't need to get into the details of it because she's lying.
Yep.
She's lying to you.
Yep.
I would appreciate, the fact that if she truly meant it, because then we could call her Kamaga. No, I wouldn't say that. But it's not hard. This isn't hard at all, but he has to be able to deflect. He cannot go down the rabbit holes that they are setting up for him in this debate. We know it. Everybody knows it. That's the Democrats' great hope, that Trump will bite and go down the rabbit holes that ABC and Harris want him to go down.
Well, because it creates the viral moment for them. ABC certainly wants the viral moment. And then Kamala Harris wants a viral moment that looks good for her, which is why they were going back and forth on muting the mics and not muting the mics, because she wanted to create a viral moment of her own.
Exactly.
And none of it is about the facts. None of it is about the truth. It's only about creating something that's a ooh moment, which for people who don't care, for people who have no interest but still vote, no interest in the truth and how things work and the issues, it works for them. And this is what you have to avoid. That's what you had in the first debate, and we said it ahead of that debate. Be the contrast. Be the contrast. Be the contrast, because within minutes, Joe Biden's going to fall apart, and he did.
Yeah. By the way, he did. I will say, Trump did deflect the January 6th thing from him in the last debate.
Right.
And the whole thing of the criminal charges, basically saying everybody knows it's lawfare. That's why I'm
right.
That's why I'm still here with the leading this race.
And I think it's easier for him to deflect right now than it has been ever in his political career, going back to 2016. Now is the time that you've got everything working on your side. And he knows all of these things at the top of mind. That's where I think Trump sometimes doesn't hit as hard as if he has to get into the weeds on something and get into the details, then you're in rabbit hole territory. With all this stuff that's been thrown at him, he knows it. And those are the things he can throw back very easily.
Well, because you make it, you have the opportunity to put her on the defensive about everything because everything about her is brand new.
Right.
If she says, well, he's look, we've dealt with this all. We all know that this is, unfair, unfair lawfare and the Biden administration and the Department of Justice involved in election interference. And simply go there. He goes, she doesn't want to talk the issues that America cares about. She's lying that she's pro-fracking. She's lying that she's pro-border wall. And he can look at the camera and go, do you really believe that she's pro-wall? Do you really believe that Kamala Harris, and this is where I would turn to the camera. Do you really believe that Kamala Harris now agrees with me? Do you actually believe Kamala Harris has gone MAGA? You could say that.
Right.
Has gone MAGA. We all know that she doesn't believe in a border wall. We all know, doesn't matter what she says here, she doesn't believe in it. The history, nobody changes overnight. She's not pro-border wall. She's not pro-fracking. She's not pro-Israel. What's the other one?
She's not for doing away with taxes on
Yeah,
tips.
she's not for doing taxes away on tips. She's just co-opting my policy because she believes I don't. I believe the American public is smart. She believes the American public is stupid and will buy into this transformation that is completely a lie.
Well, because her attempt is to to do away with the contrast. Because
Right.
what are you doing in a debate? What are you doing? Or what should you be doing during a convention? You should be showcasing what each side wants to do and showcasing the difference between your campaign and the opposition's campaign. But on those signature moves, she knows her positions are losers. She's part of the problem that got us to this point. And she can't run away from that, and that's what she's trying to do. She wants you to believe she's not the current vice president. She wants you to believe she has nothing to do with Joe Biden. And she wants you to believe, they want you to believe, and they put it on full display last week, all week, 4 full nights of wanting you to really believe that Trump was the president at the moment, that all these problems were caused by him.
And you can bring that up, but what I just said there, he can just repeat in a little different way for every single question that's asked to him. Everybody knows where I stand. She's trying to make you believe she's me.
Right.
We know she's lying.
Right.
We know she's not telling the
What
truth.
does she really believe, and
Right.
why won't she admit it?
Right. Exactly. That's where you have the advantage. That's where, because as we've talked about before, everybody knows everything that they want and he's already been vetted by the American public, the voting public, on January 6th on all the lawfare. He doesn't need to go there. You know they're going to try to go down that road. He doesn't need to go there. All he needs to do is dismiss it. We all know that it's the Department of Justice and the election interference of the Biden-Harris administration against me. Now, that being said, she's bringing that up because she's afraid to talk about her real stand on the positions. Come on. She's trying to make it – she's trying to pretend that she's pro-wall.
Right.
And then you look at the camera. Does anybody actually believe that Kamala Harris, with everything that she has said, all the criticism, all the insults that she has thrown my way concerning the wall, is pro-wall? Does anybody believe? Now, it all depends. I'm saying this based on today. I don't know where, because when I wrote on X, Kamaga is back. Well, we'll see how long this lasts. And some of our listeners, well, maybe till tomorrow. I'm just saying that, and if she changes all of her positions to back to liberal and repudiates all of this, well, then you have to know what to do at that point. But that's still a ways away. That's 2 weeks away.
Right.
So what you need to do is, I'm just telling you what you do right now, but he's got to know how to deflect. He's got to deflect.
Yep.
And he has a perfect opportunity to do it with her.
Yep.
So I did notice because some of the networks were playing her saying, "Please, Mr. Vice President, let me speak." You know, when she did it with, I got mind blank here. Pence, golly, I don't know what it is today. I think I need a cup of coffee. I can't remember names. I can remember concepts. I just can't remember names. With the Pence, she brought it up, and I remember when it happened, I viewed it as a stalling tactic. Please let me speak. Come on, I want to be able to speak here, and that's taking from her time at that point.
Right.
And so apparently that's not going to happen now.
Right.
Harris campaign didn't comment on it, did they?
No, they did not.
866-90 Red Eye.
We'll be right back with more Red Eye Radio with Eric Harley and Gary McNamara.
It's Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. More on where this campaign is going. Interesting article that in the Daily Mail UK where they point out the number of times that the New York Times has gone after Kamala since the DNC. They weren't pleased with it. Some of the editors there weren't pleased at all with it, so we will get to that. Plus, Harris' campaign says that she does not support the electric vehicle mandate. We'll get into what they actually said there and a whole bunch more coming up.
This is Red Eye Radio on Westwood One. Now, it's Red Eye Radio. Gary McNamara and Eric Harley talk about everything from politics to social issues and news of the day. Whether you're up late or you're just starting your day, welcome to the show. From the Uniden America Studios, this is Red Eye Radio.
All across America and around the planet, we are Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Good morning. Wow, we're already to a Wednesday. Whoa. All right, Kamaga is back, at least temporarily.
Yeah.
It was funny because it was interesting that, Harris coming out, the campaign came out saying she's, now against the electric vehicle mandate, and she's pounded on it. And it says, his RNC writes, she's not walking back anything. The campaign is just lying. When she was a senator, she co-sponsored the Zero Emissions Vehicle Act of 2019. I just love this here. Of 2019, which contained a requirement that car manufacturers to sell only zero-emission vehicles by 2040. And we all know it is. Now, I want to say this, as well as bringing up where she is flipped, Trump has to say, but all these things are ignoring the top issue of Americans, and that's the inflation that was created by the Biden administration. You know, they're trying to blame it on corporations, but we know, as every economist will tell you, as the Obama economist would tell you, inflation comes from too much government spending and loose monetary policy by the Fed. Mm-hmm. But they were warned not to spend that $1.9 trillion. They did it anyway. Obama economists did. You get back to inflation again, and you talk about, for example, that people can't find. Trump has to do what he did in 2016. It's not necessarily have the minutia of how to solve every problem. It's identifying the problem.
In fact, he's not required to have the details of his plan because he's already implemented his plan and did so for 4 years.
And people know that.
Yeah.
So identifying, so everybody's talking about this where she's, as we know, people call it flip-flop. She's lying. We know she's not pro-border wall. We know she's not, anti EV mandate. We know she just copied me on on tips, not taxing tips. Everything right now, all these things, we all know she's lying. But as you notice, they're staying away from inflation. And they're staying away from inflation because there wasn't this kind of inflation when I was president, and there won't be this kind of inflation when I'm president. And the entire and we all know they caused it. They did it. The thing that Trump has in his advantage right now, all the advantage is on the Trump campaign right now. Might not be tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
Who knows whatever's going to happen, but it is right now. Because all the questions, every single day, the person who questions are being asked about is Kamala Harris. Why? Everybody knows where Trump stands. Everybody knows and has already made the comparison that things were better back then. So Trump needs to, on the inflation thing, he needs to bring it up over and over again.
Yeah.
I don't. Yeah. And the thing is, sometimes Republicans don't understand you've got to have repetition. Just saying something once isn't enough. Say it again and again. Are you better off now than you were 4 years ago?
Right.
Americans, are you better off now? I wouldn't even say that. Americans, are you better off now than when I was president? Are you better off now under a Harris-Biden? By the way, you could say that. Under a Harris-Biden administration. Well, it's not Harris-Biden, it's Biden-Harris. I don't know that. Nobody knows where Biden is. He's never at the White House.
Prove it.
Right.
Somebody prove to me that Joe Biden is still the president.
Right. So there's so many advantages that you have here, but it's when you have a campaign that has said, let's do the same thing that has caused the failure of the guy who was supposed to be my running mate as president.
Yeah, right.
And the fact is, nobody is claiming I have the cognitive problems. I'm just a scaredy cat.
Yeah.
I can't go out and talk to the public. I will say this. That got a lot of people talking yesterday when I don't even know where it started. But it was when somebody said, if it takes, Politico was talking about, the infighting in the campaign just for one interview.
Yeah.
One stinking interview with a political activist that agrees with you on everything, and you're bringing your emotional support, white male mansplainer with you, and so I'm sorry,
Coach Tim.
I'm sorry, Coach Tim.
Waving his hands in the air.
She needs a coach.
Exactly. He's waving his hands in the air like he does.
But everything is on her because she has embraced the Biden philosophy that they believe worked in 2020 and will work now, and she's trying to separate herself from the running mate that she agrees with 100%. So she's taking bizarre and absurd positions on the issues that agree with Trump, who she demonized for holding those positions as recently as a few months ago.
Right.
Maybe in the last couple of weeks. Who knows? And so that's why Trump he's got it. You don't need a lot going into this debate. You don't need you don't need to explain the minutia of what you are going to do. All you have to say is, what is she hiding? Why is she lying? Inflation was caused by her. You were better off with me than her. This isn't complicated.
No, that's it. I mean, there is the building of the contrast that was a different type of contrast in the first debate. The first debate was really about showing the contrast between you and Biden and showing that Biden is suffering from some kind of problem cognitively that and it was only going to take a few minutes. We said this before that debate. It's only going to take a few minutes. All you have to do. We also I don't know, we weren't the only ones, but we said also the demeanor will matter. And we believe Trump listens to all 5 hours of our show every night and downloads our podcast and then listens to it again. And that's why he did that, because his demeanor was spot on in that debate. And it was about the contrast. Well, how do you build the contrast here? A clear contrast that you win. I've got a proven track record. She's lying, basically trying to make people believe that she would do what I would do. Why can't she tell the truth about what she believes? And you throw it back every single time.
And David Muir and Lindsay Davis are the ones that will be moderating the debate. But
Right.
I would sit there and say, if the questions don't come up, why don't you ask her if she's pro-fracking and now agrees with me? Why don't you ask her if she's actually pro-border wall or whether she's lying? And if she does, why did she demonize me? You can control this tremendously and put everybody on the defensive. Not
Because
just by
if she
not,
really
not
believes
just
a wall.
right. Not just by saying to the anchors, we know you guys are biased. Show they're biased.
Well, and here's the thing. Very clearly, come on, guys. If she really believes what I believe, I pledged in 2016 to build a wall. Is she going to pledge here tonight?
Right.
Does she make a pledge to the American people that she will push to build a wall?
Oh, that's a great one. I pledged to do this. I pledge. Will she pledge to build a wall? And then you want her to say, yes, I pledge to build a wall.
Right.
And then all hell breaks loose when she actually gives those positions over the next couple of days. And then it's back on her again. Does she really believe it or does she not believe it? And that's what you're trying to do. You're trying to get all the attention paid to the opposition campaign and put them on the defensive or have all the questions coming up. Because if she's forced to say, yes, I'm pro-fracking, yes, I believe I will pledge to unleash all the energy.
Exactly.
I promise, fossil fuels are our way out of it. At least you won't go that far.
Well,
but across the board on everything,
right?
And it would be a disaster because then the left would have to respond.
Do you pledge your support for Israel?
Right.
I'll pledge it right now.
Right. Do you pledge your unconditional support to Israel, our friend, or don't you? And you can say it if the questions aren't asked. These are the questions you should be asking.
Yeah.
You can send it to the moderators.
Don't matter at all. They don't. They don't. That went out the window years ago.
Right. Well, they matter in the fact you can use them.
Well,
you can use them to make your point. Why aren't you asking this question?
Yeah, no, all you're doing is you're launching your own question.
Right.
Hey, what I want to know is, so it doesn't matter who the moderators are. The moderators are irrelevant. What you say matters.
Right.
No one is going to be playing the clip of what the moderators are saying.
But if you say, you haven't asked her whether she agrees with my position on the border wall, and I've pledged to build a border wall, you should be asking her whether she will pledge to build a wall. See, this is the problem with the media. You don't ask the questions that the public actually wants to hear. Tell me how that works against him.
Right.
I'm trying to find, when I was thinking about that, I thought, okay, is there a week? Because when I play political consultant, even though I've never been one,
Nah.
I mean, I've never worked for a political party in that manner.
Right.
But I go, okay, where's the weak part in that? I go, there is no weak spot there. There is no weak spot there. There is no, because the public says.
I'll make a pledge on all of these things.
Right.
Will she?
And then you say, now, that too, but we all know the real big issue with the American public. All these issues are important, but the real big one with the American public is inflation. You know what I did. You know what I did during my administration. Were you better off during my administration or her administration? That's.
Yep. Right. Look, again, you point out that she's lying about what she believes. We're up here tonight to tell you what we believe and what we would do. She either pledges to build the wall, to be pro-fracking, to be pro-Israel, or she tells you what she would do. This is where I stand. That's proven record. I've already done it. I'll do it again. America wants to know what she's going to do.
866-90-RED-EYE.
Coming up, more with Gary McNamara and Eric Harley. It's Red Eye Radio.
It's Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Let's talk to Marty in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Marty, welcome. You're on Red Eye Radio. Welcome to the show. Hi.
Hey, Gary and Eric. Love the show.
Thanks.
Hey, I just wanted to mention, I don't think that, and I know this would be impossible to get him to do, but Trump should never say Biden's name again. And anytime he refers to the administration, it should just be the Harris administration, and put the pressure on their campaign to come out and say that it's not hers, it's the Biden administration, and basically throw Biden under the bus that way.
Well, it is an interesting take on the approach that we've talked about. You throw something at them, and then they have to respond, and because obviously there would be a warranted correction there. No, it's the Biden-Harris, and then all of a sudden she's got to link Biden to her, openly
right.
if they do respond.
Well, yeah, they go, look, it's Biden, Joe Biden is the president. I could see Trump responding, well, is he, with everything that's happened the last couple of weeks?
Where is he?
Does anybody really know if he's president or not?
Right.
And I mean, and just with a chuckle.
Right.
Because people are thinking that.
Yeah, right.
Exactly. And I think that is a way that you could open that campaign up to responding that way and giving you the opportunity to reply with that.
No, I agree with you. I agree with what you said, because I had said he should say, come on, say the Harris Biden campaign. You're just saying, say the Harris campaign.
Or the Harris administration.
The Harris administration, excuse me. The Harris administration.
Yeah.
And then to make the correct. Yeah, I agree.
That's a better play.
Yeah, I would go with that. Yeah. I would go with that tweak. I agree with that.
Yeah. Good stuff there, Marty.
Yeah, because Biden's irrelevant.
Exactly. Yes. Well, and also she's trying to, or many are wanting her to distance herself from Biden and not attach herself to Biden and pretend like they're not even, neither of them are right now at the top level of government and in the executive branch. They want you to believe basically that Trump is running the show and is the source of all the problems right now. And this is, I think, a good play, and again has them correcting, well, that's the Biden-Harris administration, and it would kind of bring it full circle there. Good stuff there, Marty. Thank you. We appreciate the call. Yeah, it's look, I do believe there's look how far I have to go to get the qualifier here. I do believe there's reason to believe that where Trump is right now, especially who he's surrounding himself with, RFK Jr. and Tulsi Gabbard included there, but also J.D. Vance is a great Veep pick in also official surrogate. Ramaswamy. I think Trump is picking up on a lot of the, all right, just turn it back around on them moments. I think there is reason to believe that there might be possibly, Look how far I'm going on the qualifier. Some who say that he could deflect in a way on stage. Look, it just depends on the moment. Some nights it's like, okay, he gets it. And then some nights it's like, oh, okay, don't engage. Because the moment you do that in the one debate, which is likely to be the only debate, I don't think she's going to agree to any other debate, then you're creating that moment for her and for ABC and the liberal media. And you can't do that. It all has to be deflected back. Put this on her.
Their campaign is on the defensive every day.
Mm-hmm.
There's still nothing that has stuck to Trump at the end of the day since the identity politics debacle 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
There's nothing that has. I'm reading here. This is a Daily Mail UK. New York Times turns on Kamala. Well, not really. That's a little bit of an exaggeration.
Yeah.
But the liberal newspaper runs a string of brutal op-eds slamming Harris as weak, a phony, and ignorant. Is her brat summer finally over? And they do talk about the New York Times deputy opinion editor, Patrick Healy, who said he cringed when former President Bill Clinton took the convention stage on Thursday to claim that Harris would be the president of joy. How's that going to help the millions of Americans whose livelihoods are now at stake, Healy asked. And why has Harris failed to conduct a single interview or serious press conference since Biden stepped aside last month? And I'll have more of that coming up here. But no, the goal of a campaign is to always keep the other side on the defensive.
Yep.
And you can do that in the debate because
Easy.
everybody knows who you are.
Right. Yep.
You don't need to define
You're
yourself.
a known quantity. Yep.
Observing and analyzing the insanity. Eric Harley and Gary McNamara. Nightly on Red Eye Radio.
And he is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Welcome and good morning. Thanks for being here. So, yeah, just reading the story from the Daily Mail UK that was looking at the New York Times. And, no, the New York Times has not turned on Kamala, but there were some op-ed pieces that were really interesting. New York Times deputy opinion editor Patrick Healy said he cringed when former President Bill Clinton took the convention stage on Tuesday to claim that Harris would be the president of joy. How's that going to help the millions of Americans whose livelihoods are now at stake? Healy asked. And why has Harris failed to conduct a single interview or serious press conference since Biden stepped aside last month? Ultimately, she needs more voters in the swing states to trust her to handle the economy better than her opponent. She cannot coast on joy. But then you had the guest essay from Rich Lowry. Again, that's a guest essay, and he is a conservative. Pulling no punches, Lowry wrote that Harris is weak and a phony and doesn't truly care about the country or the middle class. He attacked her record as vice president, namely her failure to secure the border or to address inflation. She doesn't care if her tax policies will destroy jobs. She has been part of an administration that has seen real wages stagnate, minimizing the problem because the party line matters to her more than the economic reality for working Americans. Now, if you're going to mention it, you can say that, because we talked about, don't focus on Biden. But he can say, it's fine for her to say, look, she's been part of the administration that has seen real wages stagnate. She's been the partner.
Yeah.
She's been the partner in the administration.
Yep.
She is the partner. She is a founding partner.
Right.
Another Times guest essay written by veteran financial journalist Roger Lowenstein slammed Harris as not serious in her plan to unveil price controls on supermarkets. Forget that her proposal addresses a problem that no longer exists. More dismaying was her seeming ignorance at price controls, almost without exception, have led to shortages, supply chain disruptions, and eventually higher prices. It's not just the Times, indeed, with the sense of unease with Harris now appears to be creeping across with the Wall Street Journal and the left-leaning Hill adding, piling on, are you willing to pay $5 trillion for Kamala vibes, as senior commentator James Freeman in the Wall Street Journal on Friday. Freeman argued Harris has damaged the economy during her time as vice president, not least by supporting Biden's multi-billion-dollar hike in government spending during the COVID crisis. She deserves more than her share of the blame for providing the crucial tie-breaking Senate vote in the spending schemes that fueled inflation. I'm sure if Tulsi Gabbard is really advising Trump, that they are telling him 1,000 times over to memorize.
Yeah.
She
right. Yeah.
was the crucial tie-breaking vote in the Senate to pass the bill that Obama economists say was the catalyst for the massive inflation that we've seen today.
Right.
All right. Donald, say that 1,000 times.
Yeah.
Write it on the chalkboard. Over and over again. Put it on your trading cards.
Literally, without her vote, it wouldn't have happened.
Right.
And since the Democrats, went down that, remember when the whole thing with Joe Manchin happened? How can one guy have so much control? Well, I mean, let's look at what a VP does and a tiebreaker. That's crucial. It's critical for an agenda. And it was critical for their agenda. And she didn't have to. Nobody forced her to. But she did it. And here we are. And you may say, well, it was a formality. They were going to. No, it was her vote. How dare you? That's her voice. She voted that way. These are the realities that hit really hard. These are the reasons, collectively, the biggest reason that she hasn't talked to the media, that she won't do press conferences, that really she's in hiding. They say she's talking to the people. What people? And that's it. Because, look, the rallies, the stumping, we're past that in terms of, you want to rally your base, that's fine. That is part of it still. But in terms of the purpose of what the goal of what you need to do from convention to election day is convince independents and undecided voters. And she's hiding from them for a reason. In fact, for a whole list of reasons, many of which we've laid out just on this one program. This is not I honestly believe she's just flat out incompetent, and she knows she's incompetent. She knows she doesn't have the ability to speak with conviction. Otherwise, we would see her. Otherwise, you wouldn't be able to shut her up, because that's what people do when they're running for president of the United States and they become the nominee. You jump at any chance to talk to the media.
It's how humans act.
Right.
We know. That's why we promote our opinions every day. We have no problem promoting our opinions. We welcome criticism. We want to hear what the left has to say. Mm-hmm. Our biggest problem is the left won't tell us what they truly believe. Right. And when they do, we criticize them, and they can't defend it.
That's why we have to play so much audio.
Right. When you're confident in your opinion, you have no problem explaining it to the American people.
I have zero problem.
And look, every Democrat knows that if Kamala Harris promotes, or the Democratic Party promotes what they truly believe, which is the behavior and the legislation that they have put in over the last 4 years, every Democrat knows you can't sell that to the American public.
Right.
You cannot win an election if you tell them what you're really going to do, so you lie. Every Democrat knows that. Mm-hmm. And now we've taken it to a point of just totally into a bizarre political world where we'll get to 40 days. where she has not held a press, and still there's not going to be a press conference. I guarantee, well, I promised I'd do an interview. This is the interview.
Right.
And then that will mean no press conferences, no single press conferences. Will she do?
No.
Just keep holding and holding.
She's not going to do a one-on-one interview. Will she do a second interview?
Alone?
Right. One-on-one.
On the issues.
Right.
On the important issues for America. And that's where, and again, that's the problem with her doing that. Everybody knows Dana Bash is a partisan.
Yeah.
Everyone knows that, well, why is she bringing Walz on? I mean, those are the immediate questions that are asked that nobody can answer. The media, I'll tell you, the mainstream media wasn't sure what to do because the talking points before it was announced yesterday was, well, she really doesn't need to talk to anybody. So, well, that's just a media thing. The media cares about her.
Only the media cares about it. Yeah.
Only the media cares about.
They're the only ones complaining.
Interviewing here. The American public doesn't matter. Then the poll came out yesterday. 89% of Americans believe she should do interviews and tell Americans, what she thinks. So it's out there already. This doesn't solve the problem because it's easily deflected that, look, you still won't do a press conference. You went to a political activist of such a friendly media. Mm-hmm. These hard questions weren't asked, and you brought in your emotional support, white male mansplainer, to help you get through it. Yeah. I don't know if they'll refer to him as that, but
there's always a chance.
Which we asked all liberals earlier, or maybe I didn't ask in this way. Why does Kamala Harris need a mansplainer?
Yeah. That'd be funny if every answer was, well, Tim, I'll let you answer that one. I've gotten enough exposure. Tim, go ahead.
I've answered enough questions.
Yes.
I've really answered enough questions.
Right. I want America to learn more about our next vice president, Tim Walz. Tim, go right ahead.
Everybody knows who I am. I have served in the administration that is like the village. For those that we don't mention. What was it in the village? The monsters?
Those of which we do not speak.
Yes, those that we do not speak of. Yeah. I served in the administration of those we do not speak of, and so you already know where I stand.
And by the way, we believe that it was symbolism for Donald Trump. It was a monster. It was partial to the color red. You didn't want to say its name, the monster's name.
Those we don't speak of. Oh, my God.
It was, the whole movie was about Trump.
And in the end,
it was a fraud.
It was a fraud.
No monster at all.
Oh, my God. They took the template from the village.
Yes. A bunch
of
liberals who kept their kids out of reality. They wouldn't even let their kids live a real life.
Now you're going to have a bunch of our listeners. Well, Halloween isn't too far away. Let's watch The Village.
The Village.
It is a great movie, though. No, I loved it. By the way, we did not plan this.
Right.
I get that occasionally. So how do you guys write all that stuff?
Huh? No.
What are you talking about?
No, that's actually what I believe.
It seems to all come together. Blind luck.
Exactly. I mean, Nate Bargatze does a bit. It was from one of his stand-up specials about the Sixth Sense. He goes, all of us husbands, let's face it. Bruce Willis gets shot in the very beginning. And at the end, it turns out he's dead. But all of us husbands watch that. He goes through the entire movie, his wife ignoring him, not saying a word to him. That, to us, is more believable than him being dead the whole time. It's like, dude, we know what you're going through. Great bit by Nate Bargatze.
Wow.
I'm paraphrasing the bit and probably destroyed it, but it's funny. But I think to bring in the other M. Night Shyamalan, it really is. I think it's about Trump.
Well, maybe the one with the trees attacking humans back makes our case stronger.
Yeah.
Remember, what was the movie with the trees attacked us back because of climate change?
Oh, was it The Happening?
The Happening?
Was that what it's called?
Yeah.
The Happening? Yeah. By the way, every allergy season, I get closer to going, M. Night Shyamalan was right.
Oh, yeah. Definitely down here, it's the trees that are up there. It's the ragweed.
Mountain cedar for me.
Oh, yeah.
Which, the older I get, the worse it is. Yeah. And it's like,
that's great, though.
Yeah, darn you,
M. Night
Shyamalan.
Shyamalan's The Village.
Yeah, it's about
Trump.
Yeah. Think about it. Just walk it through.
No, and the brainwashing of the kids. That's
you got to keep them from reality. Right. Let's face it, they built a wall.
They built
They built a wall.
Well, there were not a full wall.
Well, it was big enough. Even Trump's didn't get finished, so they defunded their police.
Oh my gosh!
I'm telling you, I'm right on this.
Oh, whoa! The best thing is, anybody who's seen The Village is laughing right now, going, "Oh my God!
Oh my
right.
gosh! I think he's on to something."
M. Night Shyamalan, he saw where the Democratic Party was going.
Exactly.
866-90 Red Eye.
Lines open for your calls. 866-90 Red Eye on Red Eye Radio.
It's Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. All right. We're going to combine football and politics.
All right.
Coming up on in the top hour. You'll like to hear this because it's really, really, really interesting, but it's based on truth. And I know I'm going to say that I agree with Bill Belichick.
Oh, okay.
All right. What? Don't worry. Don't worry. We're not going all sports.
And you haven't sold out on your team.
No, I have not. No,
yeah.
I'm not.
All right.
This is Red Eye Radio on Westwood One. Now, it's Red Eye Radio. Gary McNamara and Eric Harley talk about everything from politics, social issues, and news of the day. Whether you're up late or you're just starting your day, welcome to the show. From the Uniden America Studios, this is Red Eye Radio.
All across America and around the planet, we are Red Eye Radio. Welcome and good morning. Just trying to find the story. I don't know where I put it. I had it and then it was gone. Here it is. This story, transgender golfer Haley Davidson fired back at critics after making it to the next stage in the Q School battle amid a battle to earn a Ladies Professional Golf Association tour card on Sunday. Davidson celebrated finishing in the top 25 to move on to the next round, but hit back at a massive lie. Every year I have played at Q School, the players have gotten longer and longer to where I was being outdriven by 40 yards, consistently in the final round yesterday by one player. Honestly, I love seeing it, though, especially since there is this massive lie out there that I'm out driving everyone. This is on the ladies, playing with the ladies.
Right.
Which is so very far from the truth and reality. Clearly, conservative media needs to give these amazing female athletes way more credit than belittling them and their capabilities, all in an attempt to attack transgender athletes. Where did that ever happen once?
I've never said it. But
where has the conservative media ever belittled female athletes and their capabilities, all in an attempt to attack transgender athletes? Where has that happened? Never.
I've never said it.
Now, this is where it hit the fan. He said, Davidson, who nearly qualified for the U.S. Women's Open earlier this year, has caused controversy within the sport, particularly after comments about athletes who believe transgender inclusion is unfair to women's sports. I will never understand athletes who blame a transgender competitor on their own athletic failures.
Oh.
If you don't take accountability for your failures, then you will never actually be good enough to make it.
Wow.
That is an attack on female athletes. Biological females are blaming a transgender competitor because they're not good enough to compete against a male.
Wow.
Here,
They're just outright saying it now.
Yes. What a misogynist statement. Here is Riley Gaines on Fox News yesterday commenting on that.
I didn't understand that competing at the highest level in women's golf was a failure. My response is a man telling a woman that she will never be good enough to be successful used to be correctly labeled as misogynistic. But now society, the Harris Biden administration, and certainly what we could expect from the Harris Walz administration.
By the way, you notice how she said
did
Harris
it.
Biden
She
administration? Did it. Okay, let's continue.
This is what they call progress. The irony of a mediocre man who couldn't hack it in his rightful category. He was a mediocre D2 golfer, never winning any awards. So the irony of this mediocre man who couldn't, again, hack it in his rightful category, essentially telling women to just train harder would be comical if there weren't real consequences. And so to just very plainly reiterate what the LPGA stands for, it stands for the Ladies Professional Golf Association. But what we have seen from the LPGA over these past 2 years, their policy has been in place for many years, is blatant discrimination against women. Again, utterly regressive and deeply misogynistic. That's what I think of this. I think Haley Davidson, he even went on to post more really, again, harmful comments just like this on his social media yesterday. And so I'm not surprised. This is the same narcissism that we see from people like Will Thomas, for example. So can't say I'm shocked, but nonetheless, it's disappointing.
It's definitely like they're baiting people just to try to make a point and really upset people at the same time. I need a short answer to this question, but I know your answer is going to be short because of the question. Have you heard of any women's groups, feminist rights groups, on behalf of the biological females fighting and stepping up and saying this is wrong?
Very, very, very few. We have some like WDI International, which is a traditional feminist group, but then you have others like NOW, the National Organization of Women, or the National Women's Law Center, or Billie Jean King or Megan Rapinoe, these people who pride themselves on fighting for women. They not only are they silent, they are the ones who are really at the front lines of advancing these policies that ultimately undermine everything they once fought for.
My God, these people are insane. But you could see, as we have said for a long time, and if you're a long-time listener to the show, you know that we were on this before really anybody else.
Oh, yeah.
And we were pounding this ages ago. And what we had predicted over a decade ago, we saw this coming. We said if this continues, it will destroy the liberal feminist movement.
It was inevitable that it was going to get to this point, and now you have these liberal transgender athletes now that are coming out. They're just out flat out saying it.
Yeah. I mean, the misogyny in that. You need to get better, women. You need to compete.
Right.
If you're going to compete with men, you need to get better.
Exactly.
You're not trying hard enough.
Right.
I mean, the misogyny in there. But again, not surprised by it because we saw the blatant bullying and threats that came from many of those Ivy League schools and the people that support the radical transgender misogynist movement out there. I mean, it's really the women hatred that exists in the Democratic Party. And understand when she talks about the as she said, Harris-Biden administration, remember, it's all of Congress. It's every member of the House and every member of the Democrat House. I want to make sure I say Democrat House. Every single one believes in the insanity of men using women's restrooms and men competing against women, denying women opportunity. And by the way, every time Kamala Harris or any Democrat says they're pro-women and Republicans are not, you can pound them into the dirt rhetorically on this.
Yep. The only thing I take issue with when Riley Gaines was talking there is she repeatedly used the words mediocre man, which describes me if I were a superhero. That would totally be what they would call mediocre man. Does he fly? Nah. Is he fast? No. Is he strong? Are you kidding me? No. What does he do?
Mediocre man.
He doesn't really do anything. He goes to the front porch and gets the mail, and then we'll tell you he's a hero.
If you want to watch mediocre man, just watch one of Hollywood sitcoms. There's a ton of mediocre men on all of those shows.
Yeah, exactly.
They always, you notice how many of them show the man as being mediocre.
Oh, that and commercials.
Yes.
What's the one commercial? What is it? I forget what it's. What there was a Triscuit or something where, mom is working late, and then dad has to come up with food to feed children. Come on, man. We know how to door. We know how to door
It's
dash.
the Phil Hartman
Exactly.
Neanderthal lawyer, Neanderthal husband.
Right. So
foo.
he goes out and
how do I make food?
he hunts and gathers some Triscuits and puts them on the table. So what it means she's working late. I guess it's pizza night. It's by the way, that's exactly how I would act and have in the past. What do you mean mom's working late? Hey, who wants pizza? It's I'm actually a very good cook. I'm just lazy.
I'm actually a better cook than any woman I know.
Okay, but let's qualify that. How many women do you actually know? Sorry, I had to say it.
3.
Oh, come on. Come on. Is it?
All right.
Is it 3?
1.5. I'm not going to explain that number either.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. No, I'm a pretty good cook. I'm just lazy. I just don't.
Well, the thing is, cook. I really since I used to cook everything, and now as a type 2 diabetic, the last 8 years, I really don't cook that much anymore. I mean, I don't cook like I used to.
It does take the fun out of it, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
I mean, because you want to get creative, and then it's like all these rules get into place with health.
But I like life better.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
I choose life.
There's something that's more exciting and creative
than cooking.
Living
and
yeah.
I wish because I had my braised chicken and scallops. With brown rice.
Yeah.
Oh man, I'm telling you.
All right.
And it's funny because I still have people, why don't you ever make that for us anymore? I go, I don't make it for me anymore.
Yeah.
My Hawaiian chicken with sticky rice.
Okay, well, that'll get you into trouble quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just too much sugar and too much starch.
Yeah, for sure.
So, yeah, but that was really the last dish that I made about 9 years ago.
Yeah.
One time, it was funny because I had, and it was all women at my house. Because I was, a friend of mine, she said, could you make, because it was my Italian chicken, and she said one day, could you make everything for us? Yeah, sure. And I did, and it was my baked chicken, which was just, that was so good. My Italian
Now,
chicken.
you can still have that, right? The chicken.
The
the
Italian chicken I could still have. Yeah, I mean,
it's the sides that get you in
dressing.
trouble.
Yeah, the dressing that you use for it may have some calories,
Mm.
but and I don't know. I haven't checked. I haven't made it in such a long time. But that was when it was the I actually had a dinner party, and it was all of my dishes, and everybody arrived at the same time, and it was like 4:00, and nobody ate all day, and it was like a bunch of hungry wild wolves in my house. But I'd made everything that day. I made the braised chicken and scallops. I made my Hawaiian chicken and sticky rice. The sticky rice is just awesome because you actually use an ice cream scoop. A little clump there. Yeah. And then the lemon chicken. And probably I had vegetables or whatever. Those were the three main dishes, the three courses you could choose from. And that was the last time I did it. It was, and then, I think it was probably a year later I got, when I got diagnosed with type 2 diabetes, it's like, okay, a little bit of a change in the diet.
Yeah, well.
Man,
Yeah.
Thank you, God.
Yeah.
But I'm a victim now, so.
Right.
I'm a victim of God.
I'm going to stand over here while you say that. Yeah.
God has a sense of humor. We are all made in his image and likeness.
Well, in that case,
no, God's not that ugly.
looking in the mirror, you're going to have a sense of humor. Yeah. God
looks like Eric.
Yeah. No, that's not what that means at all. It's, the fact that, kind of, Now, as I get older, I look like the Hollywood version of God, old man. If I just grow my beard,
You sort of do look like a 600-year-old Moses.
Right, exactly. I'll do the Mel Brooks version.
Oh, man.
I bring you these 15, crash, these 10 commandments. Oh, man. Okay, we came full circle.
All right, yeah.
That's great.
We did. But, yeah, it's the misogyny that exists in the radical transgender movement.
Well, it's...
the misogyny, the intimidation of women, the threats towards women that happen with all those swimmers.
But they're going straight on now. I mean, this move here is straight on. You're not good enough, ladies. If you were just better at your sport, then this wouldn't be happening.
Yeah,
wow.
You don't train hard enough. You're actually not trying.
Right.
So don't blame me being the man for competing against you.
A guy who couldn't try hard enough and compete against men.
Right.
Mediocre men. Mediocre man. That's seriously, that's my superhero name. Right there. Can you get the cat out of the tree? Probably not.
LPGA is going to have to do something about this because if he makes the tour, there's going to be sponsor problems.
Oh, you and I have been waiting for this.
Yep.
You've been saying it for years. If this happens in golf, just wait for it because the sponsors will have a voice there.
866-90-RED-EYE.
Brought to you by Hot Shot Secret.
Hi, I'm Jen Loomis, a transport safety expert at J.J. Keller, and I'm here to share a tip on compliance, safety, accountability. Compliance, Safety, Accountability, or CSA, is the FMCSA Safety, Compliance, and Enforcement Program. Its goal is to hold motor carriers and drivers accountable for highway safety and to reduce crashes, injuries, and fatalities on our roads. CSA does this by assessing the safety performance of motor carriers and drivers based on data collected during roadside inspections, crash reports, and FMCSA investigations. Based on the data that is compiled, motor carriers are assigned a score. The carrier is then grouped with other carriers who have had a similar number of safety events. Carrier scores within the group are then ranked to determine intervention priority. Low scores are better, so carriers with the highest scores are those that are most likely to be targeted for intervention by the FMCSA. Interventions range in severity and may include warning letters, roadside, off-site, or on-site inspections, civil penalties, or operation out-of-service orders. This tip was brought to you by J.J. Keller and Associates. Visit us at jjkeller.com.
Get in touch with Red Eye Radio, toll free at 866-90-RED-EYE.
It's Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. So we covered a couple other topics there, and back now to the campaign and coming up with some audio from just generally what was out there yesterday in the media, talking to people about what's important to them. And that's why we've said, look, for all of her flip-flopping lies, whatever you want to call it, Kamala Harris, and wherever this ends up with, well, I'm not for the EV mandate, and I'm for a border wall, and no taxes on tips, and I don't believe in the EV mandate. For all of that, still the most important thing for people is inflation, and the Republicans need to stay focused on that.
It really is about everything is about inflation.
You saw the housing numbers from July, highest ever.
Yeah. And, the problem, again, is that that the left has, that the Harris campaign has, is that you can't overcome that. And as long as you keep throwing that at them, there's no way to deflect on that.
You can't.
There's no way to reshape it.
And that's something? The whole price control thing fell apart.
Right.
Because, number one, even as Democrats will admit, that's not even a problem anymore.
Right.
The food inflation isn't there.
Right.
There's other inflation, but it's not food.
Yeah. And aside from that, if you were to do that long term, prices would skyrocket.
Right. Well, right. Everybody, almost universally, they don't believe it would work.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
You're listening to Red Eye Radio from the Uniden America Studios.
It's Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Welcome and good morning. Download our Red Eye Radio app today. You can listen when you choose.
Thank you.
If you can't listen live overnight, as you should. Or if you wish to listen a second time, or a third time, or a fourth time.
And happy Friday. I'm talking to the people who are listening to the Wednesday podcast on Friday.
Okay.
Just a special shout out. Do we still do shout outs? Are the kids still saying shout out? No?
So I saw my buddies this weekend when I went up to Buffalo because I went to a concert.
Yeah.
And my buddy Dennis, just was asking me questions like, so, what's it like to do what you do? And I've known Dennis since, I'm trying to think, probably since 79. I think I've known Dennis.
All right.
And but we just never, when I communicate with him, rarely ever talk about my job. It's funny because people think you do all the time. And with your best friends, you never even mention what you do for a living.
Yeah.
So he was like, because I never asked you about it. He goes, so, what's it like? And he said, you must get free concert tickets for everything. I said, mean like I can go anywhere I want? He goes, yeah. He goes, you got to be able to get into anything you want free, right? I went, no. He goes, well, some things. No.
No.
You get any free tickets? No.
No.
Never?
No.
Never. That's what shocked him.
Yeah.
It was like, you mean you don't get free stuff? I don't live in California, and I'm not a Democrat.
Exactly. Well, and I mean, I guess if we wanted to reach out and make some calls, and by some, I mean at least a couple dozen, we might be able to go see the Oasis reunion next summer. Reunion.
Well,
They're brothers.
Wait a minute.
What? I
because we didn't talk about it. I met somebody that you wanted me to meet for years.
Yeah. Another guy I worked with, another friend from Buffalo.
And
my other friend from Buffalo.
Yeah, exactly. And you've told me.
I really, honestly, I really don't have any other friends. Just you two.
No, I figured that there's where I can get free tickets.
Yeah.
But
exactly.
But
no, he could. Yeah.
But it was funny because I just thought about it now because I just had contacted him yesterday. We're talking about a great guy by the name of Tommy Daniels.
Yes.
He is I forgot his official head or whatever of the Allen Americans.
Operations manager,
director of operations.
Director
I believe
of operations.
It is. Yeah. And the Allen Americans hockey team.
Yeah.
In Allen, Texas.
Yeah.
And so you had told me about him for years.
Yeah.
Years. You got to meet the guy. You don't know. How don't you know him? How don't you know him? And then doing research, I found everybody that I know who worked in Buffalo knows him. He worked at the same place as I did, but not at the same time.
Right.
I never met him.
Yeah. Yeah.
So there I am, and it was a couple weeks ago. I was at Buffalo Brothers.
Right.
And my buddy Mike.
Yeah. Which is a bar in Texas for those that don't know.
Yes, it's a bar. It's across from. There's two locations. So the one in downtown Fort Worth. Then there's the one right across from TCU, and it's sort of a. I'm not making this up.
It's a hybrid.
It's a TCU Buffalo sports bar.
Right. Yeah. Right.
Now, the reason they initially, when Ed came up with the concept, him and John Bonnell from the famous chain of all the different meat restaurants in Fort Worth.
Yeah. Unbelievable chef and restaurant.
From what I heard, it was, and by the way, John listens a lot at this time because he's told me he's up working.
Oh, man. He's so
but
good.
he's, Ed, from what I got the story was Ed said, if we have a Buffalo food restaurant, Texans will come.
Yeah, right.
And so, but it's really in the row on University Avenue. It's in the row of like college bars almost.
Oh, okay.
But you walk in.
I got to go down there.
Oh, it's a great place.
Yeah, I got to.
But they have Buffalo food.
Yeah.
The only place, one of the few places outside of Buffalo, they actually make their own Kimmelwick rolls, beef on Kimmelwick.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Which is salt and sesame seed on top of the roll. The special,
okay.
Roll.
All right.
And you have to have horseradish on it too.
Oh,
but
all right. I'm in.
If it's associated with Bonnell and you're talking meats, oh my gosh, the
it's
roast beef.
Yeah, no, it's going to be. Yeah. He's gonna crush it.
But it was so funny. He goes, Mike comes up to me. He goes, "Oh, you ever meet Tommy Daniels?" I'm looking. I go, "What? This thing sounds so familiar."
Yeah.
And he goes, "Yeah."
See, in my universe, this is where the lightning starts crawling across the sky because the two streams are about to cross.
Yeah, exactly.
Like two friends from Buffalo, without me introducing them.
Yes.
Are about to meet.
Yes.
At Buffalo Brothers.
Yeah. And I actually walked in, and they were sitting at a table, and I said, "Hey, how you doing?" When I walked by.
Yeah.
But didn't know who he was, and he said, director of operations, a play-by-play guy for the Allen Americans.
Yeah.
I went, "Oh, wait a minute, he's one of Eric's good. He used to work with Eric."
Yeah.
And so it was like, where is he? Where is like, go over.
Yeah.
It was like, well, you saw the picture we took.
Right.
It was like we were instant friends for years.
Right. Exactly. Long lost buddies.
We were instant friends for the last 40 years.
Right.
And it was great just to have a conversation about everything and the people that we work with. I probably could call him and get tickets there.
Yeah. Tommy could make it happen.
Tommy can make it happen.
Yeah.
It's like,
For sure.
and
it would be awesome.
And since I talked about it on the air, then the Biden administration would come after me for Plugola.
Oh, yeah. Well, now we're in trouble.
Forget about the tickets.
Okay. Well, I guess we'll have to pay for them. Still worth it.
Jack Smith will indict me.
Exactly. Yeah.
And McNamara committed Plugola. We heard it on the air.
Right. Exactly. Hey, did I ever tell you about my friend who works at a Mercedes dealership? Okay, back at the old place the one time, I just mentioned it on the air. I said, we were talking about something. I said, do people still use flasks, for alcohol? And I got like 2 or 3 flasks. Remember that?
Yes.
In the mail?
Because I have one of them.
Yeah.
You gave one of them to me.
Yeah. It was like, and then it's like, do people still drive Mercedes-Benz cars? And nothing. The magic did not happen.
Well, another thing that happened, because we just mentioned Plugola. And Plugola is when you are an announcer.
Right.
There's payola, which is when you play a record and get paid for it.
Right.
And it hasn't been approved, really.
Right.
Record
label pays you to put
the record label
on the air.
pays you. You can't do that. Plugola would be plugging a business and then them giving you something for that,
right,
without the sales department being involved.
Right.
Well, I mean, you forget it. Even if there wasn't a law, Mindy's not going to allow that if the sales department isn't allowed.
Exactly. That's Mindy law right there.
But it's so funny because my buddy Jerry told me a couple weeks ago. He goes, hey, I hadn't been in Two Frogs, the brewery that I go to, and that has just that I've mentioned before,
right,
in Tarpon Springs, Florida, just outside of Tampa,
right.
And I'd mentioned them, and Jerry told me, he goes, yeah. He said, Chad told me a bunch of people have come in over the last 3 weeks saying, does Gary McNamara really come in here? And he said, they all had beers. He goes, tell him I'll buy him one.
Right.
And it's like, I got to tell him, no, you can't buy me one for that.
Yeah, right.
Can't buy me one for that.
Well, the business can't, but a patron could.
A patron could, yes.
Yeah.
Well, he's the owner. So
Yeah.
And it's like, nah, I'd have to and I have refused it in the past just because I would just never get in the habit of doing. This is where you just go overboard. And it's like, well, no, I didn't mention it to get anything free for it because that's technically it's against federal law. But in this day and age, right now, with what they've gone after Trump, I'm not doing anything wrong.
No.
It's like, nope, sorry, can't have a beer. I'll pay. Tell me the best beer you have, and I'll pay for it.
Exactly.
But you can't.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was interesting, and so that's got to be cool. It's funny because I've done this so long, at times you forget that you're actually on the radio and a podcast that people listen to.
Well,
it's like
when you
I'm always
talk,
shocked.
especially when you talk about those kind of specific things or places, and you kind of think it's, this is a place where I go, so, you don't think in terms of your listeners going there.
Yeah.
And so... but yeah, it happens.
Well, one of the times when, there's I've talked about it before, the place on the lake that I live, which is now becoming a new place.
Right.
Because the old owner sold and the new people came in, they couldn't make it work. And so now they have actually a place that does specifically, marina restaurants, clubs, bars, and this new place is coming in, has a chain on the lakes around Dallas.
Right.
And so they have experience coming in. I heard they're actually going to have an ice cream bar.
All right.
That may move me away from the alcohol bar.
Exactly.
Ice cream bar, both are unhealthy. Okay, one's sugar, one's alcohol. I'll have to figure that in my head. Is a low carb alcohol better than a high carb ice cream cone?
Well, my question would be, is there any such thing as a tequila float?
Wow, something.
And if not, why not?
Yeah, with all the flavored alcohols out there.
Yeah.
But one time, this goes back, I don't know, maybe 8 years ago.
Mm.
And it was called at that time the Oasis, and I talked about it, on the air before. Yeah, I was in here. I used to have arguments with Independent Bob. That's how that all started.
Right,
Big
right.
arguments with Independent Bob always were there, and that's how we started talking about it. One day I walk in. As soon as I walk in, the manager said, "Hey, just heads up, there's somebody looking for you here."
Mm.
And so we just want to make sure. And it's that guy down at the end of the bar. He's still here. But he asked for us when you came in, so we're very, they know what I do, so they were very protective, and which is always cool.
Right.
And I said, he goes, no, I said he's a listener. I look down, I see the guy, and I go, okay. And I just walked down, right next to him, I said, how's everybody doing? Good. Get me a beer. Get this guy one too. He looks at me, and I went, hi, Gary McNamara. We had a great conversation. It was the most wonderful thing. It was, when it happens, when you meet listeners, it's really wonderful.
Yeah.
It really is the most wonderful thing.
Yeah.
When that happens, and it's happened, as I've told you, with the Marty's restaurant where I go with my family. The one gentleman that showed up one time.
Well, I've gone to events where people have driven hours to show up and shake my hand, and that floors me. That always floors me. It is beyond cool when that happens, and we always have the greatest conversations.
Yeah.
Hey, you guys were talking about this the other night. We'll just get into our own little talk show right there at the event for a few minutes and spend some time with them. Because we do this at this time of day, and because, we literally don't have any outside windows in our room here. We can't even look outside, and if we could, it would be dark. And so, you don't run into your listeners every day. And so no,
it's not like when you work during the day.
Exactly.
When you run into them everywhere. It really is a rare thing when you work overnight.
Yeah. And, it's very special. And when they seek you out like that, it's like, it's always fun. It's always great and humbling because it reminds you of why you do it, and it's just really great.
My first reaction always is a first instinct. Why are you so happy to meet me?
Yeah, right. Why do you listen to my show? Have you heard it?
It's the first reaction. It's like, really? You came here to see me?
Yeah.
Are you okay?
Well, in the back of my mind, I'm going like, oh man, I must have really angered them somehow.
Yeah, that's the second thought. Oh no, I must have really ticked them off about something.
They
where
were
they
really
searched me
motivated to seek me out. Yeah,
you were motivated from a positive point of view.
Yeah,
really. 866-98 Red Eye.
We'll be right back with more Red Eye Radio with Eric Harley and Gary McNamara.
It's Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. You did see the story that Texas announces over 1 million ineligible voters removed from voting rolls since the last presidential election.
Yeah. Wow.
There were hundreds of thousands of dead people on the rolls, which is, I'm going to assume that's always something that you're dealing with.
I would have to think, yeah. Except in Illinois. They add more dead people to the rolls. In fact, the ones from Texas, they're adding in Illinois.
Oh, my.
Yeah. It's kind of bizarre to think about, but it is, a matter of fact.
6,500 non-citizens purged from the rolls. 2,000 of the non-citizens are alleged to have cast votes in the past election.
Wow.
This is Red Eye Radio on Westwood One.